You're tuning into Human Architecture Assessment, a structural evaluation of how humans and the systems around us exist and their implications. I'm your host, JAPEXJESS. In today's episode, Mastery in the Age of Smart Tools. Every generation faces it. The blacksmith when machines arrived, the photographer when everyone got cameras, the taxi driver when GPS made knowing the city obsolete. Now it's our turn. AI can code, write, design, analyze. What's the point of us? Before we panic, let's look at London taxi drivers, because they face this exact moment, and their response reveals everything about the difference between craft mastery and tool mastery. In London, to this day, black cab drivers must pass the knowledge, a test that's been required since 1865. They memorized 25,000 streets, 60,000 points of interest, all within a 6-mile radius of Charing Road. No GPS, no maps, just their brains. It takes about 2 to 4 years to complete. One driver, 42 months. And here's what's remarkable. Research shows it physically changes the brain. Professor Eleanor Maguire's landmark 2000 study in PNAS found that London taxi drivers had significantly larger posterior hippocampi, the brain region critical for spatial navigation, than control subjects. A 2011 longitudinal study in current biology followed 79 trainees over 4 years. At the baseline, their brains showed no differences from controls. Those who successfully qualified showed measurable increases in posterior hippocampal gray matter, visible in every single successful trainee. Those who failed showed no change. Deep craft mastery literally reshapes your brain. GPS exists, Uber drivers use it, minicab drivers use it, passengers have it on their phones. So why does London still require the knowledge? Because tool mastery does not equal craft mastery. GPS gets you from A to B, but the knowledge driver understands shortcuts GPS doesn't know, how to adapt during roadwork, events, traffic in real time, the city, not just routes. That context, judgment, and local expertise, it's a leverage. And when The Guardian staged a race from King's Cross to Big Ben, the black cabbie completed it in 18 minutes versus the Uber driver's 22, despite taking a road that was longer by distance, but faster due to expert traffic knowledge. Tool mastery, the GPS user, my phone says turn left here. Craft mastery, the knowledge passer, knows the road's closed for an event. I know 3 alternative routes based on the time of day and current traffic patterns. Here's the fastest one. The distinction, navigation versus getting you there optimally based on deep city knowledge. The proof of this knowledge is not revealed until GPS goes down. There's a dead zone, power outage, satellite issues, the app crashes. Hey, c'est les boy. That's when you'll see. GPS interference is increasing dramatically. The Baltic Sea saw 46,000 incidents in 2024. And once, when European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen's plane had its GPS jammed over Bulgaria, pilots had to land using backup systems and paper maps. The GPS-dependent driver is paralyzed in this scenario. They can't function and are essentially stranded. Meanwhile, the knowledge driver continues. No disruption. Why? Because they had the foundation. The tool was an enhancement. That's the moment craft mastery reveals itself. Some people called themselves masters. They weren't. They were operators who got really good at their tools. But tool mastery does not equal craft mastery. Tool master says, I'm the best at using this specific framework, language, method. The craft master, I understand the principles so deeply I can use any framework, language, method. When the tool changes or gets surpassed, the tool master panics. The craft master adapts. In 2007, the first iPhone launched with a 2 megapixel camera. Professional photographers laughed. By 2016, smartphone cameras had surpassed most consumer DSLRs in image quality. DSLR sales peaked in 2012 and have declined over 80% since. The tool master, I know every setting on this DSLR, every lens, every technique. The craft master, I understand light, composition, story, emotion. When everyone got phone cameras, tool masters said photography is dead. Craft masters said more people can participate now, but mastery still shows. The best photographers today shoot on whatever tool serves the vision, whether that's a $5,000 camera or an iPhone. Tool mastery is the driver relying on GPS turn by turn, no understanding of why the routes work. Craft mastery integrates GPS as a tool, among many, the foundation still being the city knowledge. When Uber arrived, GPS-reliant drivers flooded the market, but the knowledge drivers didn't panic. They adapted because their mastery was never following directions. It was understanding London. AI arrives. Some people think, my new role is managing AI output. I'm the director now. But that assumes your craft was execution all along. Look at what happened with junior engineers. They were the first to dive into AI tools. GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude Code, Cursor. Output exploded and tickets closed faster. Managers were happy. But they weren't building skills. They were managing AI output. A junior with AI starts debugging. What does that look like? Well, you copy the stack trace to AI. AI gives you some response on how to fix the broken code. You copy that response, paste it into the code base, rerun, and hope it works. High output, zero foundation. And when things break differently, the cycle repeats. They became dependent on the tool without developing the judgment to know why the solution worked or when they'd fail. A key distinction to make here, director's craft versus craftsman's craft. With the director's craft, the components include the vision, coordination, and orchestration. AI doesn't change this. When it comes to craftsman's craft, the components include a deep understanding of principles, integration of tools, and execution informed by mastery. If you're a director before AI, you're still a director. If you're a craftsman, you don't become a director just because tools got smarter. You're still a craftsman, now with better tools. It's when we confuse the two, as tools evolve, that an identity crisis occurs. And not to fret, with each major tool shift, there's always an integration moment. Understanding the tool's capabilities, understanding one's flexibility with the tool, this is still craft. The blacksmith who survived the Industrial Revolution didn't become a machine manager. They integrated the machine into their understanding of metallurgy, form, and function. The craft expanded. The principles remained. The knowledge driver today still passes the tests, still knows the city, but also uses GPS when helpful to check real-time traffic, confirm address locations, optimize during unusual circumstances. The tool enhances, not replace. In the age of AI, craft mastery is shown in judgment, taste, principles, integration, and adaptation. Knowing what should be built, tools can't tell you this. Recognizing quality versus mediocrity, tools produce both. Understanding why something works, your tools know that it works. Bending new tools to your vision versus bending your vision to the tool's limitations. And when the next tool shift comes and you pivot again, you will be able to do this easily because you understand the craft and not just the tool. Go ahead, give yourself a little test. If the tool disappeared tomorrow, can you still practice the craft? Maybe slower, maybe less efficiently, but can you still do it? If yes, craft master. If no, you were a tool operator. The London cab driver without GPS still gets you there. Maybe checks traffic conditions differently, but the foundation remains. Whereas the GPS dependent driver without GPS, they're lost. Completely dependent on a broken system without any foundation. And the funny part, the speed problem. It's what makes it even harder. Tool mastery used to last a career. Now it lasts 2 to 5 years. IBM research shows the half-life of technical skills is approximately 2.5 years. Half of what you learn becomes obsolete within 30 months. Really, truly. Lifelong learning. If you don't love that, you're gonna find yourself having a difficult time. Because when you compare that to a plumber's knowledge lasting 30 years, or even better, an electrician's understanding of Ohm's law, which is never expiring. JavaScript frameworks, they churn every 2 to 4 years. Backbone, Knockout, AngularJS, CoffeeScript, all dominated for a few years, then vanished. The pace exposes false masters faster, but craft masters, they pivot again and again and again because principles don't expire. Traditional apprenticeships used to teach the tool for years, gaining mastery through repetition. In the AI age, apprenticeship is learning principles through accelerated iteration, using AI to expose gaps in understanding, building foundation faster, but you still have to build it. That's the point. The shortcut isn't skip the foundation. The shortcut is use AI to reveal where your foundation is weak, then strengthen it. The knowledge still requires years. They haven't shortened it despite GPS, because the foundation can't be rushed. Here's why. When researchers scanned people's brains during navigation, the hippocampus showed activity spikes at each decision point. When following GPS, the brain switched off. No activity detected. Pattern recognition, spatial understanding, judgment, these develop through time and practice. And critical sectors know this. The US Navy reinstated celestial navigation training in 2016 after dropping it. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Rogers, we went away from celestial navigation because computers are great. The problem is there's no backup. If The military won't trust GPS alone to cross the Pacific. What are we losing by trusting it to cross town? Mastery is a relationship with principles, not tools. The blacksmith's mastery wasn't the hammer. It was understanding metal, heat, form, and function. The London cab driver's mastery isn't GPS. It's understanding navigation, the city, pattern, and judgment. Your mastery isn't your IDE, your language, your framework. It's understanding systems, architecture, trade-offs, and most importantly, human needs. Tools change, principles remain. Masters integrate, operators panic. When your tools surpass your execution capabilities, you have two choices. Panic because you thought you were a master but were just good with a specific tool. Or integrate because you understand the craft runs deeper than any single tool. London still requires the knowledge in the GPS age, not because they hate technology, but because they understand the difference between tool mastery and craft mastery. The craft didn't die. The tool changed, and real masters always knew the difference. That's it for this episode. And remember, people make excuses for what they want. What do your excuses reveal?